House of Pace. Book of Tahlia. Chapter 7. Scompari's Secret. Like, comment, subscribe, buy me a coffee. Book available on Amazon.
By the time we reached the outskirts of Oldbeer, my thoughts were unravelling faster than the road beneath us. Every theory I'd built about the dead man's murder felt suddenly fragile, like frost on glass. Scompari hadn't spoken in miles, and his silence pressed on me harder than any confession could have. Whatever he'd seen, or feared, was still with him, riding in the dark between us. I bought a supper to take back to Scompari's quarters, a cramped room that smelled faintly of old wood, tobacco and the sea. The aroma of roasted lamb and herbs filled the air as we sat across from each other, the lamplight throwing restless shadows across the walls. I waited until Scompari had nearly finished eating before broaching the subject. "I think now is a good time to tell me why you confessed your crimes," I said, my tone firm but not unkind. Scompari slowed, his fork hovering mid-air before setting it down with deliberate care. The usual sparkle in his eyes dulled into something heavier. Resignation, perhaps, or fear.
"I would rather not,"
he said at last, his Italian accent thickening.
"But there is no avoiding it, is there?"
He wiped his hands and face with a rag, then balled it up and tossed it onto the table. I waited, hands open, eyebrows raised, saying nothing. Silence can be more persuasive than words.
"Va bene,"
he muttered finally.
"I was in Paler Beach looking into a transfer of silver coins from Prince Amadeo to a noble family."
I sat forward. "That was you," I said sharply. "You didn't confess to that one."
"Because..." "Just listen, per favore,"
he cut in, his voice low, almost pleading. He leaned back, staring at the wall, as if replaying a memory he wished he could unsee.
"The silver coins were due to arrive any moment. A convoy of wagons, each one carrying enough to buy kingdoms. But I only needed one bag, just one. Enough to live like a prince for 5 years, maybe 10 if I was careful. My plan was perfetto. I distracted the driver of the last wagon, the easiest mark, then slipped in, filled my bag and vanished before we reached the city gates. Timing, as always, was impeccable. No one saw me enter, no one saw me leave. Or so I thought."
He paused, his gaze drifting toward the shuttered window. The lamplight trembled, as though stirred by a draught.
Back at the inn, I was basking in my success, dreaming of where to stash my newfound riches, when I felt it. A breeze. I look around, and the window was open. I did not open the window. You know why? I never open the window, because I am careful. Too many ways to die, and it was cold. I scanned the room, curtains breathing in the night wind, but there was no one there. No sound, no shadow. Still, instinct screamed, "Run!" Perhaps someone waited outside, knife in hand, ready to slit my throat the moment I dared to look. But I am not a fool. The coins were not with me. No. I had hidden them in the vacant room next door, locked behind a door only I knew how to open. Clever, no?
He smiled faintly at the memory, but it didn't reach his eyes.
I crept to the window, silent as a shadow, eyes straining for any movement outside. Then, quick as a cat, I slammed it shut, locked it, and fled from the room. My belongings, even the coins, they were just things, replaceable. My life? I could not come back for that. You see, I value life above gold. I'm a thief, but not a killer. Never that. But,
He exhaled, trembling slightly.
But if someone had tracked me to the room, opened that window, well, They must be very good indeed. Perhaps even better than me.
He laughed once, a dry, humorless sound.
It sounds paranoid, I know, but paranoia keeps a thief from getting caught. I pride myself on seeing every angle, every possibility. And yet...
Scompari's voice trailed off. His gaze drifted to the wall, as if he were watching something unseen again move behind it.
And yet, let's just say I never made it out of that room. At least, not the way I planned.
He shook his head, lips pressed tight. For a long moment he said nothing. When he spoke again, it was barely above a whisper.
I woke up in a stable, tied to a post, my head pounding, and someone was there.
The air in the room seemed to thin. Even the lamplight dimmed, as though listening. Someone? I asked quietly.
I saw another man tied to a post across from me.
Scompari began, his voice low.
He was awake, though barely. A cloth gagged his mouth and he was stripped to the waist. I still had my clothes, luckily.
His eyes grew distant.
He had marks all over him, cuts, deep ones, like he'd been tortured. Just like the body we saw today.
I leaned forward, despite myself. What happened next? Scompari's jaw clenched.
He was looking behind me. I could see the fear in his eyes before I even heard it. The voice.
He hesitated, touching his face, his throat bobbing.
The voice. It came from somewhere else. Deep, piercing. It felt as though my very soul recoiled from the sound.
What did it say? I whispered. Before he could answer, a sudden gust rattled the window. The flame in the oil lamp flickered violently, and from outside came the caw of a raven, harsh and startling. We both flinched. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We waited, listening. But the raven never came. When Scompari finally met my eyes, his face was pale, the colour drained, whispering the chilling words.
It said,
Your time has come.
His hands still shaking as he mimed the scene.
He pulled a dagger, long, curved. He walked toward me, but just as I braced for the blow, he passed me by. Went to the other man instead. He wanted him to see the blade, to understand.
Scompari's voice trembled now.
The poor soul tried to scream, to pull away, but it was no use. The man in black grabbed him by the throat, lifted him as if he weighed nothing, and carved the necks across his heart.
He swallowed, eyes glassy.
Dio mio, the blood. It poured like red wine.
Scompari's tone grew softer, almost reverent.
He was toying with him, cara mia, like a cat with a dying mouse. And then, so smooth, so careful, you'd think it was an act of mercy. He pressed the dagger's tip into the center of the X.
Silence fell. Only the faint hiss of the oil lamp remained.
I couldn't watch. I couldn't. I squeezed my eyes shut, but there was no escaping the sounds. My hands were bound. I couldn't cover my ears. The wet slice of the blade cutting through flesh. The sickening crack of ribs giving way. It all reached me, vivid and unbearable. The man's scream was short, strangled. Then came the gasping, ragged, uneven. Each breath shallower than the last. It felt like forever, listening to that terrible countdown of a man dying one breath at a time. When the final sound faded, when silence at last swallowed the room, it was almost a mercy. When I found the courage to open my eyes, the scene before me was a nightmare made real. The dagger still jutted from the man's chest, a gruesome marker of his end. But the killer? Gone. Vanished as though he'd never been there at all. Only the growing pool of blood around the victim's feet proved otherwise. As the horror settled in, a single thought echoed in my skull. What am I doing here? And then, colder still, Will I die next?
Scompari's voice faltered. His eyes went glassy, distant. The rawness of his memory filled the room like a chill. I felt my throat tighten as he spoke. It was impossible not to see it all through his words. When he finally stopped, I found my voice. "You clearly escaped," I said. "You're the infamous Scompari after all. How did you get away?" Scompari gave a hollow laugh, one without joy.
I didn't. Not at first. The moment I freed my hands, I thought I had a chance. But before I could even reach the rope binding my head to the post, something struck me in the gut. Hard. It was like being hit by a runaway carriage. I doubled over, gasping, and then, before I could even think, my hands were tied again. Tighter this time, as if he were mocking me for trying.
His voice dropped.
The man moved like a shadow, silent, fluid. He walked to the corpse, crouched, and with a sound I'll never forget, that sound, he pulled the dagger free.
Scompari closed his eyes, his breath uneven.
The blood came fast, too fast. I tried not to look. Dio mi aiuti. I did, but my eyes wouldn't obey. The way the blood flowed, the sound of that blade sliding from bone and flesh, it's in my mind forever. I'll hear it every night until I die. After he took the blade, he looked at me, though I'm not sure he had eyes or lips beneath that hood. He said something I didn't understand. Not Italian, not Latin, something older.
"Older?" I pressed. He nodded.
I could see the words in my head. It shook me inside out from the tone, like the sound itself didn't belong in this world.
Scompari wrote the words down in my notebook, though I knew they'd make little sense. Language that caused pain to hear.
He spoke again, and this time I understood. His words sharp and dull. No way to describe it until you hear it. As he circled the body like a vulture, he never once looked at me, but his words, they were meant for me alone.
Dry, flat, and paralyzing, he foretold.
This one you cannot escape.
In that moment, cara mia, when I heard him speak, I knew I was dead. It was like a cold hand gripping my heart. I accepted it. His voice, it didn't just frighten me, it stripped me. Every sin, every betrayal, every petty cruelty I'd buried deep rose to the surface like rot. I, Scompari, the man who could charm his way out of any noose, slip past any lock, I gave up. It took everything from me.
He drew in a shaky breath.
Then he turned toward me, that dagger held high like a trophy. The blade caught the light, dripping with the life of the man he'd just murdered. And he came closer, slow, deliberate steps. I wanted to close my eyes, but I couldn't. His presence held me still. It was as though his gaze bound me. That was when I learned what true terror was.
Scompari's hands trembled slightly as he finished speaking. "Did you see his face?" I interrupted, my investigator's instincts kicking in. Scompari hesitated.
I could not. It was dark and he wore a hood. But later, when he came close...
He didn't have a face, did he? I leaned in. Scompari's eyes snapped up to mine.
How do you know this?
I told him about the young boy's testimony from today's murder scene. How the child had described a hooded man with shifting clothes and no real face. As I spoke, the colour drained from Scompari's cheeks. The room seemed to dim around us, as if the shadows themselves were listening. "He saw the same man," I said, my voice trembling despite my effort to keep it steady. "Black jacket, black hood. He said the face wasn't like ours." "What did he mean by that, Scompari?"
Yes, I know,"
he whispered.
"There was a face, At least I think so. The shape of a nose, maybe eyes, but all of it black. Empty.
The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a murderer we were dealing with. When I looked back at the parchment, the words were gone. The surface blank, save for the faint scent of smoke. Scompari's face was pale, his eyes distant.
It never stays written long,
He said softly.
Perhaps paper is too mortal to bear the weight of such words.
The boy isn't making it up, I said aloud, partly to myself and partly so Scompari would hear.
He saw the same man.
Scompari admitted, sinking back into his chair, fear raw in his voice. Are you religious? I asked, mind racing through the possibilities.
Somewhat.
He answered.
A little. But since that night, I think about it all the time. I would say I crossed paths with Erebus and lived to tell it.
We sat in the lamplight with that confession between us. The room suddenly too small for the thought. This case had shifted. Not merely a crime to be solved, but a thing that blurred justice and vengeance, the natural and perhaps the supernatural. Near death changes people. I knew that. Still, I wanted to understand what had altered Scompari so completely. The boy had used a name from childhood tales. Erebus, tale of the angel of peace. The overlap between myth and this murder unnerved me. Continue, I prompted. How did you escape? Scompari's face grew distant, his voice faint.
This man approached me, that bloody dagger on display. His movements were controlled, unnaturally slow. I couldn't hear his footsteps. It was as if he glided. With each step, I felt death creeping closer. I thought, this is it. The dagger will pierce my heart or the torture will begin. My eyes were fixed on the blade, mesmerized by its crimson sheen. Then!
He flinched, as if reliving it.
A sharp pain in my side. I never saw a second blade. I only felt it.
Scompari stood and lifted his shirt, revealing a scar along his flank. A clean, precise cut that had healed oddly well, as if stitched by a surgeon's hand. It only added to his roguish appearance. He settled back on the chair and continued.
The pain was fierce but brief. It was all he needed to make me talk. I had no wish to end up like that other poor bastard. Then that voice. Dio mio, that voice. Deep, terrifying. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once.
Do you know why you are here?
The man had asked. I didn't deny it.
Scompari said, shaking his head.
I was done with games. Yes, I told him. I stole the silver coins. I'll return them. I can't do that if you kill me. I'll show you where they are.
He flinched as the next memory rose.
He left, then came back and threw a bag at my feet. The sound of the coins, clink, clink. Mamma mia. I loved that noise. But then it filled me with dread.
These silver coins?
The man asked, colder than winter.
Scompari leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper.
That was my only way out alive. Or at least to buy more time. I thought this man must be working for the Roberti family I'd stolen from. So I tried to bargain. Look, I said. I'll tell the Roberti family I'm sorry. I'll repay them more each month until my debts are paid.
Scompari put his elbows on his knees and continued.
He approached me, his face so close I could feel the chill of his breath. And yet, when he moved, not a sound. It was as if he floated above the ground. Can you imagine? If I could move like that, I'd be the greatest thief in all of Sardinia. Which, of course, I already am.
I swirled a hand impatiently, urging him on. Scompari caught my look, sighed, and continued.
Scusi. As I was saying, we came face to face. He pressed a finger into my chest, firm, deliberate, and for a heartbeat, his eyes flashed. They came from nowhere, just enough to see something almost human. Then he asked,
And will you pay for your past with the same terms?
Scompari's expression darkened.
All my past? Caspita, how much did he know? I thought it best to confess a few sins, just to appease him. Yes, I said, for the family d'Arborea of Porto Pozzo and the house of Canelles of Santa Teresa, I'll pay them both a monthly sum until the debt is cleared. But he wasn't satisfied, cara mia. He turned his head and began naming more. More? How could he know all this? Things only I could know. Then he drew his sword. Ah, what a beautiful black blade. In another life, I might have tried to steal it. But I knew then my thieving days were over.
Scompari's voice dropped low, his hands trembling slightly, demonstrating what happened next, as if reliving it.
He pressed the blade to my wrists, his tone like ice.
Eye for an eye, cut off that which doth offend thee. For it is better your hand shall perish than the body be cast to hell.
I understood his meaning. The thought of losing my hands, it made me sick. So I confessed everything, every crime I could remember, even those from my childhood, as fast as I could. When I finished, I was certain I'd lose my hands. His eye for an eye speech made that clear. It was law still in many of these parts. He moved behind me, silent as a shadow. Untied one arm, stretched it out, and pressed the edge of that black sword to my wrist. I tried to pull away, but his grip was like iron. I couldn't move at all. My head was bound. I could barely see, just enough to watch the blade rise. I had to see, even though I knew what was going to happen. My breath came in ragged gasps as I braced for the blow. He raised the sword, its edge catching the faint light, ready to fall. I turned my eyes away and, for the first time since I was a boy, I thought to apologize to God. Strange, no? But in that moment it felt natural. As if the child I'd once been had reached out from some buried corner of my soul, begging for mercy. Maybe, just maybe, he would hear me. Take away the pain, perform a miracle, change the mind of this thing that wore a man's shape but was not a man. Then I heard him speak, his voice colder than the aspen winter.
Some debts cannot be paid with silver.
Whack! The blow landed. My arm went limp. I screamed, certain my hand was gone. I pulled my arm tight against my body, bracing for the sight of a severed limb. When I dared to look, no blood. My fingers were still there, trembling, sluggish, but whole. I wonder if he make mistake. I curled my hand close, clutching it to my chest, praying he wouldn't try again. The dark man circled me, moving without a sound. Too terrified to resist, I simply huddled in place, waiting for the next strike.
Return the coins to an agent Tahlia by dawn. If I find you before she does.
He left the words unfinished, but I saw the ending clear as day, like a vision burned into my mind.
Scompari's hands shook as he spoke, the memory still raw.
Flashes of my life rushed through me like he'd sent them himself. I felt my soul would stay trapped inside me, waiting for him to come back.
Waiting for whom? I asked, my voice sharper than intended. Scompari hesitated, then looked up at me, his expression hollow.
Death.
He lowered his gaze, fingers drumming an uneven rhythm on the table.
He said he would come for me, Bellissima. And I knew I would be begging for Inferno when he did.
Silence swallowed the room. The fire cracked weakly in the hearth, throwing shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. My rational mind clung to reason. There had to be an explanation. Perhaps this death was just a man, a spectre of flesh and blood, hired by the church to sow fear, to keep sinners in line. Yes, that made sense. It had to. Then Scompari smiled faintly, his old swagger flickering through the fear.
You see, if this angel of death sent me to you, then perhaps, just perhaps, as long as I'm near you, I'm safe. Even if it means another night outside that dreadful cell.
This would explain why so many had been coming to me. This man, whoever or whatever he was, could find those who didn't want to be found, those beyond the reach of any investigator. He killed without being caught. He'd let Scompari live only to spread the story, to make sure we knew he existed. Regardless of his motives, one thing was certain. He was a killer, and I had to stop him before he struck again. I reached across the table, gripping Scompari's hand. My practical side took control. You've seen him. How do we find him? He shook his head immediately. Whatever courage he'd scraped together was gone. I could see the answer in his eyes before he even spoke. My patience thinned. Listen, I said, my tone sharp. I got you out of that cell, and I can put you right back if you don't help me. We're going to catch this man. Now. How? Scompari gave a short, nervous laugh, some of his charm returning despite himself.
I told you before, the cell is safer for me than the world outside, unless I am with you. You will not find him.
He'll find you, I finished his thought, voice dry and unflinching. That was it. The spark of an idea, dangerous, reckless, but it might work. I leaned forward, meeting his wary eyes. I know how to draw him out, I said. But you're not going to like it. I need you to go on one last heist.
Che cosa? Why would I do that? If I do...
He stopped mid-sentence as realization dawned.
Then he will come for me. You want to use me as bait?
Exactly, I answered, my tone leaving no room for argument. He jerked his hand free and shot to his feet, pacing like a cornered fox, shaking his head.
No, no, no! It won't work!
He said, his accent thickening as panic seeped in. It will work, I replied, my voice dry and confident.
Yes, it probably will. And I will be sent to the afterlife. Bye-bye. No more Scompari.
He answered sharply.
Did you not hear my story? The man walks without sound. The air around him dies. His voice...
He shuddered.
His voice makes you hope for death. This is pazza. A terrible idea.
He gestured wildly. It will work, I countered, keeping my tone even, though part of me doubted it too. We'll have eyes on you the entire time. You'll be surrounded by men. Scompari laughed bitterly, shaking his head.
All the men in the king's army would not be enough. You think safety comes from numbers? No. When he finds me...
His voice faltered.
When he finds me, I know exactly where I'll go.
I didn't have an answer. My silence said as much, and Scompari read it in my eyes. He shook his head slowly.
No. If you only knew, if you'd felt what I felt, you would never ask this of me.
I believed his story, every word. But I also believed in reason. There had to be a scientific explanation. There always was. Men who vanished, who walked without sound or changed their faces, they didn't exist. Hallucination, hypnosis, suggestion, something. A trick of the mind, not of the divine. Still, Doubt whispered in the back of my thoughts, quiet but persistent. What if you're wrong? I placed a steady hand on his shoulder, trying to ground us both. I'll be close to you the entire time. Scompari didn't respond at first. He shook out his hands, rolling his shoulders, trying to loosen the tension. Then he stepped closer. Too close. His hand found the back of my neck, fingers brushing the edge of my hair as he drew me in. His eyes dropped to my lips. 1,000 thoughts collided in my mind. Do I want this? Will it compromise my judgment? Can I trust him or myself? Each question tangled with the next until only one thought cut through the noise. Just go with it. Our lips met, soft, searching, dangerously perfect. His breath mingled with mine, quickening, pulling me deeper. For a moment, the world narrowed to his touch, his warmth, the faint taste of wine and fear between us. Then the kiss slowed, softened, and broke. He held my gaze, chest rising and falling.
Tahlia,
He whispered.
if you believe this is right, I'll do it. But only if you stay close.
It worked! I hadn't expected him to agree, and part of me wished he hadn't. Because now, if anything happened to him, I wasn't sure I could stay detached. I nodded, forcing confidence into my voice. Yes, this is our best chance to find him and bring him in. Scompari exhaled sharply. I could see doubt flickering behind his eyes, but I didn't let it show in mine. He leaned forward again, lips parting for another kiss, but I caught him in a tight embrace instead. He chuckled softly against my ear, his old charm slipping back into place.
I think you're the one playing games now, Bellissima. Having fun, I hope.
I smiled faintly, saying nothing. His warmth lingered even as my mind raced. Then, as his arms tightened around me, a thought surfaced, sharp, unwelcome, and cold as ice. The night of the cottage murder, Scompari's shoes had been wet that morning, his footprints light, erratic, almost hesitant. Where had he gone that night? My breath caught. What if this dark killer wasn't just haunting Scompari? What if he was Scompari?
Next, Chapter 8, Unmasking Truth. Buy me a coffee. Support me and the channel to create more content. Go to the link in the description. Book available on Amazon. Like, comment, subscribe.